Nice to see ya. All right, get that out of there. Get this out of there. That's there. That's there. I think we're ready to roll. I think so. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is James. This is Dividend Stock Talk, brought to you by the 10-Minute Trader, where I invest in dividend stocks for weekly cash flow. Take you along for the ride for a simple, safe, predictable, consistent 1% per week. That's what I'm looking for. That being said, let's get the ball rolling. Got to get a few more tweaks over here on the cameras just to make sure everything looks right. And I think, come on. Wrong way. There we go. All right, so who do we have in the house tonight? Tonight we have Douglas, Karen, Will, Mark Seitz, Cam, She's So Boohoo. Interesting name. All right, Jonathan, nice to see you again. Ray, Vincent, Sparky, Travis, Mike Miller Milk. Oh, 3M, I love it. Utilico, Cam, Red's Eye. Tanya, good evening, Tanya. Aloha to you too. Vincent, Jonathan wants to take a look at advanced auto parts. That's just not going to work. I have to get rid of that. Mr. Green, how you doing, Mr. Green? Can you flip the screen, please? Flip the screen. What do you mean, flip the screen? You mean adjust it. There we go. Make an adjustment. Here we go. Adjust. That's better. This one over here. Nice. Okay. GPC, Cameron. GPC is Genuine Parts Corporation. Yeah, that's going to be a no. Sorry, no, don't get me wrong. GPC, Genuine Parts Corporation, is a great company. But it's a monthly optionable stock, and I don't do monthlies. Sorry, just going to be a no. No, and a no. All right, so first on the list, Jonathan wants to take a look at AAP, Advanced Auto Parts. Now, I had Advanced Auto Parts for the longest time until I have no idea exactly what happened to it, but I don't have it anymore. Dead. All right. Every time I look at a chart, it's always going to be the exact same thing. 5 things I'm looking for. It should take 2 to 4 seconds. The high of the year, the low of the year. Where was it a year ago? Where is it today? And where is it going? That's it. Where is it going? Going up, down, up, down, up. Okay, fine. Right there. What's going on there? Right now. Right here. Right now, Jonathan. Sorry, dude. Missed the opportunity. It was right there. Shot up. Now she's coming back down again. So, Advanced Auto Parts, not this week. Maybe next week. Don't know. We'll soon find out. All right. Cam, GPC, Genuine Parts Corporation. Now, Genuine Parts Corporation has 60 that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. 60 years of continuously increasing their profits. 60, I mean, think about it. I'm 62. They've been increasing their dividends for as long as I've been alive. I see it. So, up, down, blah, blah. Even though it's a great time to jump in, look at this. 30-day high, 30-day bottom. Now she's going up, 99.35. Great. But it doesn't work for me because it is monthly. June, July, August, November, December, blah, blah, blah. I don't do monthlies. Once a month doesn't work for me. I'm looking for once a week. Once a week is, well, it just works. Sorry, Cam. GPC, as great of a company as it is, it's just not going to work for me. Jose wants to take a look at Meta. Why the hell do you want to take a look at Meta? They have 2 years of dividends, and it's dropping. That's it. Up, now she's coming down. If you like it, wait. She's dropping. As soon as she finds the bottom and turns around, that's the time to jump in. Not now. All right. Bowlin. Oop. You got it, Cam. All right. So who do we have over here? Over here we have nonchalant. Nonchalant. Michael, Giovanni, the 1-0 shoe. The 1-0 shoe. Okay. Terry, Utilico, Steve, DT37. Hello. What is your prediction on Bitcoin? What will be the lowest it will hit? Don't know, don't care. TSM, is that Taiwan Semiconductors? TSM. Hell no. Why are we looking at something's at the high of the year? Explain to me. You like it? Great. Wonderful. Parker, what's the play? Seriously, here's the big jump. It went from 385 to 450. So now what are we supposed to do? Buy it at the high of the year? Yeah, no thank you. It doesn't make sense to buy at the high. The opportunity already came. Now it's coming back down again. No thank you. All right. Eric, Mason, Rachel, Team Turner, X Cloudy. Vincent wants to take a look at Pfizer. Ooh, I like Pfizer. Unfortunately, look what's going there. The high, the low, where was it? Where is it? Look, it's up, down, up, down. No. Sorry, you missed the opportunity for Pfizer too. Down, up, down. Not this week. Sorry, Vincent. Hey, Billy John. What's going on here, Billy John? Joe, KJ. Thank you for that, KJ. What's up, folks? Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Encourage your viewers to share. All right. KJ, thank you for that. MP. Ooh, Mickey D's. Benjamin wants to take a look at McDonald's. MCD. Why? Look at this. Why you want to look at that? Okay? Down, up, down. It's going down. So maybe next week we'll find the bottom and she'll turn around. But until then, just keep watching it. It's about all you can do. All right. Mickey D's. Braddock wants to take a look at MP. What is MP? MP Materials. Oh, okay. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so here's the high, here's the low, here's where we were, here's where we are. Look, it's up, down, sideways, and then back up again. We're at 72.24. There might be a play here. Braddock, take a look. Your last 30 days. Here's your high, here's your low. Okay, up, down, up. Okay, there it is, 72.24. Let's see what they look like. May look good. J.R. Ewing, I bought $250 of AGNC this week. JR, that's cool. All right, what am I doing? Okay, let's do this. Let's do that. Looking at the 72s. All righty. One contract at 72. Now what we're doing here is a simple, safe, predictable trade called a covered call. That's where I buy the stock first, and then I sell it to someone else for the same money I paid for it, and they give me what's called a premium, and that is more than 1%. That's what I'm looking for, 1% every week. Okay, so here we go. This is what this order should look like. Buy one covered call, MP, 5 June, that's this coming Friday. We got 3 days left. Monday and Tuesday's already gone. Are we going to get our 1% in 3 days? Maybe, maybe not. 5 June, that's this Friday, 72 call, 258 is the profit, 6,900 is the investment. What kind of rate of return does that look like? Well, let's find out. Calculator. 258 is the profit. Remember, we're going to take a look at the profits, and then we're going to divide the profits of the cost of the trade plus including the commissions and fees, and that's $7,000. Divide 6,942. All right, not quite 7,000, but it's close enough. You by yourself? Of course I am. Who else would be here with me? Who do we have over here? Dylan! What's going on, Dylan? Oscar, how are you? Thank you for that, Dylan. All right. So the profit, 258, divided by the investment, 69.42, comes to a grand total of 3.7% for 1 week. Actually, for 3 days. So yeah, we're going to save this one. It for an IRA long-term hold. Ewing, Patrick Ewing. Okay, I'll take a look at AGNC, but Patrick Ewing, J.R. Ewing, I'm going to say no to AGNC, and I'm going to show you why I'm saying no to AGNC. Just sit tight for a second. We're going to get to that next. But here we go, 3.7%. That makes sense if you like MP. Applied material. No. MP, which is something materials. All right, here we go. All right. Mr. Corp wants to take a look at now. Now, we want to look at now. And here it is. Let's do this for a second. Wednesday. All right. Whoops. There we go. One more time. All right. MP. There it is right there. 5 June 26. The 72 call option. So we're going to buy it at 71.90. Okay, price 71.90. We're going to sell it at 72. We're going to pick up 258. It's going to cost me $6,900, and it's going to be a 3.7. 3.7 for 3 days. That's it. Because this option here, 5 June, expires this coming Friday. So it's only 3 days. Okay. 3.7. Top one on the list for today. 3.7. Gotta love it. Next. All right. Mr. M Corp wants to take a look at now. Now we're going to look at now. That's funny. Now we're going to look at now. I'm sure everybody says that. I want it now. No, now. I want now. Okay, this is going to be a no. Didn't take long to take a look at that one. Look at this. What the hell are we thinking here? Seriously. 30-day high yesterday. Now it's coming down. Well, what were you expecting? Get gap up here, gap here, gap here. She goes from 85 to 140. That's $55. $55 on an $85 stock. I have to use my math in my head. Hold on. So $55 from an $85 stock. Oh, fuck nuggets. Wait a minute. 10, 20, 30, 40, 55. 55 on 85. What's that? 70%? Something like that? It's a 70% jump. And you think it's going to keep going up? No. Sorry, no to now. That's no now. Now, no. No. Now. However you want to put it. Just jumped up almost 70%. Why do we think it's going to go higher? And today, it's starting to come down. So, no. Ryan, Papa G's in the house. Nice, thank you there, Ryan. Okay, Bowley Bolin wants to take a look at UAMY. UAMY. Interesting. United Antimony. Okay, whatever it is. All right, here's our high of the year. Let me go over this side so you can see it better. Here's our high of the year. Here's our low of the year. Here's where we were a year ago. Here's where we are now. Look at this. Up, down, up, down, up. Okay, definitely going up off of that right there. Last 30 days, because we want to see where's it going next. 30-day high, 30-day bottom. Now she's rolling up. We're at 10.19. The 10s are going for 55. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But do you know who this company is? I have no idea. Let's check it out, because I'm kind of curious. Yahoo Finance. Okay. Let's see what we're going to come up with. You, Amy. Okay, so what is you, Amy? I say that because I had a girlfriend in high school named Amy. So, one of those scenarios. Okay, U-A-M-Y, you, Amy. Okay, now I want to take a look at historical performance. What I'm looking for specifically, this is the data stream. If you don't understand what the data stream is, it's all the information about the stock. We got the dates, every single day the stock is traded. We have the opening price, every single day the stock is traded. We have the high of the day, we have the low of the day, the close, the adjusted, and the volume. All the numbers I need in order to make a decision. But I want to look at just the dividends, because the dividend is a portion of the company's profits that they give back to the investors. Okay, so if they're giving it back money, is it going to increase or is it decreasing? That's an interesting question, because we got two choices. Either the company is profitable or the company is not profitable. It's one or the other. You can't have it both ways. They're either making money or they're not making as much money. One or the other. Okay, so dividends only. And I want to see all the dividends. And we're going to stop right here because this company has no dividends. So basically, this company's going to take all their profits, throw back into the company. Now doesn't look good now. Ryan, that's funny. You're right. It doesn't look good now. Now does not look good now. So I'm going to say no to you, Amy. Even though it looks good, look at this. The top, 30-day top, 30-day bottom. Now she's going out. We get all that room to run. And the 10s are paying over 4%. All right, for those of you who like it, let's do it. Aaron, I see you there. All right, covered call at 10. There it is right there. One contract, just so you have a good idea of what one should look like. Here we go. One covered call, you, Amy. U-A-M-Y. 5 June 26. That means this option is going to expire this coming Friday. The $10 call option, $50 to profit, $950 is the investment. This should be a relatively good rate of return. Let's take a look. Okay, $50 is the profit. Remember, max profit, $50. The investment, $950. Cost of the trade, including commissions and fees. Divide $950, and that comes to a grand total of 5% for 3 days. If you like this company. If you like the company, great. If you don't, next. That's it. Next. 5.2. 5.2 is a nice number for 3 days. There we go. 5.2. Why not? I like 5.2. Works for me. Works for me. Tra-la-la. Okay, let's check this out. You ready? Here it is. It's solito. It's solito. Here we go. Nice and big now. Here you go. Lovely. All right. one covered call, UAMY. 5 June 26. That's this coming Friday, 3 days away. The $10 call option. Well, the stock is currently at 10.03. So if I'm buying it at 10.03, selling at 10, I'm still walking away with the profit. And this is all one contract is going to cost me $950 for 5.3%. Hell yeah. 5.3. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah, like that one. Okay. So, J.R. Ewing likes, what was that again? AGNC. Okay, so JR, this is why I don't like AGNC. Ready? GNC. You can't see it, can you? It's right there. That's why I don't like AGNC. Now, you may not be able to see it, so I'm going to blow it up nice and big for you to be able to see it. So let's check it out, and I'll show you exactly why I don't like it. Sorry. Give it a minute while it pops up. There it is right there. So little, but there it is. Look at that. Look at that. All right. So the stock is currently at $10, right? It's at $10.20. So the 10 is going for 22 cents. But the stock is currently at $10.20, which means I'm only collecting 2 cents off of this one. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. If I'm deducting the 20 cents off, I'm walking away with 2 cents. If it doesn't go my way, take a look at this. 1 strike out of the money, I'm picking up 1 penny. 2 strikes out of the money, I'm picking up 0. 0 is 0. This is why I don't like AGNC. The numbers aren't working in my favor. There are other companies that are similar to AGNC that have a better rate of return. What I'm looking for is a rate of return, 1% every single week. I can't get that with AGNC because these numbers here just aren't going in my favor. So AGNC for me is that's a no. Sorry. It just doesn't work for me. Sorry. Yeah, you bought it $250 and then you put, okay, nothing wrong with it. Hold on to it. It may work out in your favor. It just doesn't work for me. Coach David, how you doing today? Tommy Mac. Tommy Mac wants to take a look at KHC, which is Kraft Heinz. Unfortunately, even though Kraft Heinz is a dividend king, Tommy Mac, Kraft Heinz is a great company. They've been in business for over 100 years, but you missed the opportunity. It was 2 weeks ago, shot up, now it's dropping. So hypothetically speaking, as she continues to go down, we'll probably take a look at this. I'm going to write it down for next week because next week it just might bounce back up from there. KHC. So Kraft Heinz is now on our list for next week. Enza! What was the number for 5.2? Enza, you know better than that. We'll get to it at the end. All right. Ewing. I have a weekly $10 buy list, and Kick is on it. Okay. Thank you there, Mr. Ewing. Shell, if you turn around and sell a covered call, why do dividends matter? Ooh, I get this question like once a week. Seriously, I do. I get this question once a week. So, Shell wants to know, why do dividends matter? All right, so Shell, I do the same thing night after night after night, week after week after week. Okay? I share with you guys what I'm looking at, why I'm looking at it, and why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it. Okay. So you're relatively new here, so you don't know that this strategy was created for my 9-year-old daughter. So really quickly, I'm going to give you a quick little glance at the princess. I call her that, and she hates it. That's why I do it. Right? Isn't that what we do things just because our children hate it? All right, so we want to look at the videos, all videos, the oldest videos, and there she is right here. So,
hi, I'm JC, and being part of my internet website club thingy, which my dad doesn't like me calling it that, but I do. Being part of that, you're going to be getting weekly lists of stocks that I'll be trading.
There's over 20 days in the month of January. So 20 days in February.
Draw myself a little mustache.
1 day in the month of March. What does that mean? That means every single day you
My favorite part's coming out.
There's a
Part's
different
my
company
favorite
paying out
part.
dividends. Anyway, seriously.
All right. So,
By picking just
the reason why I show you that is I've been doing this for a long period of time. This is about 18 years ago. Look at all the hair I had. And I need a mustache. There we go. All right. So, that being said, the reason why I'm showing that to you, the trading strategy that I'm giving to you for free was created for my 9-year-old daughter. When she said, "Daddy, what are you doing? Can you teach me?" So my 9-year-old daughter wants to learn to invest in the stock market. So how do you create a trading strategy specifically designed for a 9-year-old little girl? You think that's a tough one? My 6-year-old grandson. I'm going to set one up for him too. But let's get back to this one here. The reason why dividends are so important, what you're looking at the moment, it's what's called an EX dividend calendar. So each one of these little tiny green dots represents a company that is getting ready to pay its dividends or to share its profits with its investors. Okay? So the whole list is right there. So why are dividends important? Because just before the dividend date, the stock has a tendency to go up. So if we know that the dividend creates an upward movement in the stock, that bit of information is extremely valuable. And I will ask dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people on a continuous basis, because this is what I do. If you knew a stock was going to go up at a certain time, okay, stocks go up just before the dividend. If you knew that, what would you do with that information? And would you believe about 95 to 98% of the people answer the same question the exact same way? That they would buy the stock. Why the hell would I want to buy the stock? Because there's so many strategies with a tiny bit of information that you know that's available. Why would you do something that has the least amount of rate of return? Because that's what we're doing. We're investing our money. We're putting our money somewhere so it will grow. Just because you know the stock is going to go up before the dividend, why would you buy just the stock? There's so many option plays that will allow you to increase dramatically. So knowing when the stock's going to go up, doing a simple, safe, predictable trade. Now, granted, the trade that I'm doing is only looking for 1%. It makes it easier to get in and get out of. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for simplicity, safety, profitability. Did I say safety? Because I want to say it again. Okay? I want to know what's going to happen before it happens. So the easiest strategy there is just to buy. That's the easiest. But the easiest strategy has a huge downfall. You have to wait for the stock to move. Well, what if it moves slow? Okay, so the covered call doesn't matter if the stock is going to move. It only matters if the stock is going to stay where it is or go up. And then 4 to 5 days, I can get in and get out and get 1% to 2% every single week. So if I can get 1 to 2% every single week using a quick, simple, safe, predictable strategy, why would I do anything else? That's why dividends are important, because it tells me what stocks to look at and when. Take a look at this week. Hold on. Take a look. Hold on. Goldman Sachs, Lockheed Martin, McKesson, Nike, McDonald's, Halliburton, Royal Caribbean, Schlumberger, Home Depot, Suncor, QCOM, PayPal, Bank of America, Blackstone, Vodafone, Kimberly-Clark, General Motors, Pepsi, Waste Management. What is this one right here? KHC, Kraft Heinz. These are all the companies paying a dividend this week. If I want to collect a dividend, I buy it before the little green dot. There's 4 dates to remember. In case you guys didn't know, 4 dates. You ready? Here we go. Date number 1 is called the announcement date. That's the day they come out and say, hey, this is how much money we made. This is how you're going to get yours. This is when you're going to get yours. This is how we're going to do next year. It's the announcement date. They announce what's going on. Date number 2 is the important date. And that is called the EX dividend date. If you want to collect the dividend, you have to buy it before the EX dividend date. That is what these little green dots are. They represent the dividends, the EX dividend date. Date number 3, also very important, the date of record. Whoever owns a stock on the date of record is entitled to the dividend. It's just that simple. You want the dividend? Fine. Buy it before the little green dot. Date number 4 is the payment date. That's just when you get your money. It's not that big a deal. But that is why I think dividends are important, because it tells me when the stock is going to move. And knowing when the stock is going to move, it gives me a tiny bit of an edge. And that's all I'm looking for, just a tiny bit. Information that is readily available, but how do you take advantage of it? Most people will. They'll just buy the stock. Well, more power to you. There's nothing wrong with it. If you knew the stock was going to go up, fine, buy it. I prefer to do an option trade because I get better leverage, which means I can make more money. That's what I'm looking for. All righty, hold on. We got some more questions over here. Okay, Johnny, we did that one. All right, good, that one. Did that one. KHC, we looked at that one. Shell, all right. Why? Okay, got that one. Tommy, okay. Chris Fody, because if it were to drop, you would have a company that is profitable and makes money, and it'd say, Chris, that is freaking the best answer I've heard all week. It really is. Okay, so he basically said, why dividend stocks? Okay, so Chris says, because if it were to drop, which all stocks do, hold on, I got something for you. Check it out, you ready? All stocks drop. Look, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's all they do. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. That's it. If the company's paying a dividend, and if that dividend increases every single year, regardless if the stock drops, you're still getting higher and higher dividends. And you own shares in a company, Kraft Heinz, it's over 100 years old, and it has weekly options, which allows me to not only collect the dividends as the stock is dropping, I can also collect premiums. So it's premium dividend. Premium dividend. It's a wonderful thing. Anyway, so I like that answer. That is a good one. And he's absolutely right. As the stock drops, okay, they're still increasing the profits, and the profits are still going up. So why do I care if the stock drops? I don't. My concern is, how many shares do I own, and what can I sell them for? Okay? Thank you there, Chris. That was a great answer. Yeah, Shell says, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Makes total sense. Yeah. Imagine that. Believe it or not, Shell, okay? I always tell people the one thing I want you to walk away with, one thing, at least one, does it make sense? That's it. Does it make sense? If I like Kraft Heinz, they're Dividend King. Kraft Heinz is over 100 years old, and they have 5 decades or more of increased profits. They're what's called a Dividend King. This is one of the cream of the crop of the United States. One of the cream of the crop, Dividend Kings. Kraft Heinz. They're right on that list. It's not easy to get on the list, because to get on that list, you could have 5 decades. That's 50 years. 50 years of increased profits. Not just increase, year after year after year. You can't decrease your profit. Okay? You go 1, 3, 5, 9, 11, 17, 31, 36, higher, 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 higher. How much does an option trade cost? 65 cents. Plus whatever the strike price is. So you got to work that in there also. Okay, be wealthy assets. We'll get to it. Makes total sense, doesn't it? All right, so what do we have here? What do we have? What do we have? All right, Enza. Yeah. Okay, UMAY. Okay. Fortnite Lad wants to take a look at JetBlue. Why? JetBlue has not been around long enough. JBLU. And it's going to be a no anyway. Sorry, dude, you missed out last week. There it is. Missed it. Now it's coming back down. If you like it, give it some time. When it pulls back down, then buy it. Julian! Yeah, but you mean AGNC is... Wait a minute. Yeah, but that means AGNC is stable and safe. Companies that are volatile have option premiums. Nice. It's not what I'm looking for, Julian. Okay? I'm not looking for option premiums that are nice. I'm looking for a simple, safe, predictable 1% per week. AGNC, we already talked about it, Julian, that AGNC, the premiums aren't big enough to make it worth my while. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I mean, I traded AGNC years ago, but they must have gotten a new market maker, because now the options that they're offering are less than desirable. So if I'm paying this, I want to make sure that I'm getting a decent amount of return for my money. I'm not here for the fun of it. I'm here to earn a decent amount on a weekly basis. James, I'm looking at UPS. Cool beans, dude. Let's look at it. UPS, the ups dudes. No, sorry, dude. Why are you looking at UPS? You'd be looking at UPS to get rid of it. Okay, last week it was at 94. Now it's at 110. That's $16. $16 on a $94 stock. Well, yeah, that's like 17% increase. Yes, it's over 10% increase, so no thank you. Jimmy Bean wants to take a look at, is that Signet or is that just, what is that? It is Signet. Cool beans. All right, well, what's going on here? The high, the low, where was it? Where is it? Look at this. Up, down. Okay. But what's going on there? Let's zoom in a little tighter to see. Oh, hell no. 30 days ago, we're at 90. We dropped to 72. Now we're back at 90 again, and we're dropping. You missed it by a week, dude. Right there, 2 weeks. Okay, there's the bottom, 2 days up. On the third day, right there, that's my entry point. Now, I'm not going to blow smoke and tell you I'm going to buy down here. No, I don't. I take a look where the bottom is. I look for 2 days going up, and on the third day, I will jump in. Third day, 1, 2, 3. That's my rule for me. You got to figure out your own rules. What's right for you? What's not right for you? What do you want to look at? What's off limits? For me, it's dividend stocks that are consistently profitable for at least 2 decades. It's still 350 different companies. That's a lot of different companies to look at. How's her portfolio doing? Julian, you're talking about my 9-year-old daughter, right? Well, I'll be honest with you. She's not doing it anymore. When she turned... Now, Julian, the way the story goes, which I share completely honestly, when she was 9, she said, Daddy, can you teach me? So yeah, I created this strategy for my 9-year-old daughter back in 2008. So here's something that you may understand and you may not understand. At 9 years old, she was my shadow. She went everywhere I went. We did everything together. And what do you think happened when she turned 13? Now, for a woman, the age 13 will click and say, oh, yeah, yeah, she turned 13 and Daddy was the devil. So we didn't trade anymore after 13. Now, she's 20. She's going to be 27 this year. And she's finally coming back around and say, Dad, let's do this again. Well, because what do you think happened when she was 13 until in her early 20s? Yeah, women go through that change. Let's call it a change. Women go through a change from 13 into their mid-20s. Then she comes back as a normal person in her mid to late 20s, where she's actually talking to Dad again, and Dad's a nice guy because... Anyway, so... Does that make sense, Julian? I hope so. Giancarlo, what's happening? Ricky T, will UMAC continue to climb after a great run the last 5 days? Ricky T, you're asking the wrong question. UMAC. Okay, you want to know, will it continue to climb? Let me give you a few ideas just for a second, okay? Just a few, Ricky. Today we hit a high 34, okay? Last week we're at 14. You do realize from 14 to 34, that's like 100 and, what is that, 246? Almost 150%. Between here and here. Now, ask yourself a serious question. This thing just jumped 100 and whatever, 114 points, something like that. 114%. It just jumped 114%. What makes you think 14 million shares traded today? What makes you think the people that bought here, and the thing jumped up 140%, whatever it was, they're not going to take profits? Because the funny thing about profits, okay, it's not a profit until you take it. That's number one. Number two, nobody ever went broke taking profits. So this thing's just jumped 140%. All right, great. What do you do with that information? All right, do you take the profits? Do you let it ride? That's an interesting question, because you can't deny that it jumped up 140%. The numbers are what the numbers are. She was at 13. She jumped up to 134. That's over 140% jump. Chris, because if it would drop, would the company make it's profitable, make money, and it's safe? Thank you. Yeah, we already did that one. Makes total sense. Got that one. All right. So, Patrick Jones, how are you today? All right. So, Ricky T, I'm not 100% sure what you're going to do, but you got to ask yourself the question. With the 14.8 million shares that traded today, do you honestly think that those 14 million owners are thinking to themselves, hey, this thing jumped 140%, let's push it and go for 150, 160, 200. Because it might. It might continue going up. And it might not. It's a 50-50 shot. Every time you wake up in the morning, you're flipping a coin. Oh, we got a coin right here. Okay? This is a prototype of my cryptocurrency. So we take it and we flip it to see. Heads goes up, tails it goes down. That's all it is. It's a flip of a coin. it's either going to go up or it's going to go down, one or the other. So it's not a profit until you take it. That's the best I can give you. It's not a profit until you take it. Now, I'm not telling you to sell it. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm just telling you that all these people who bought it, you got to think, the thing just jumped 140%. Who's going to jump ship and take those profits? Because there are going to be a lot of people jumping ship and taking their profits. Patrick, thank you for that. It was very nice of you. Extra nunk. I'm not sure what a nunk is or why I would want extra nunks. B, wealthy assets. What was the third one again? We'll get to it in a minute. Aloha. Can you review Harley Davidson? Ooh, H-O-G. Interesting. Let's take a look. Now, if you didn't know, Harley Davidson has also been in business for over 100 years. The top, the bottom, where was it? Where is it? Sideways, up, down, up, down, up. It's definitely going up. 24.63. We'd be looking at the 24.50s, and they're going for 45 cents. If you like Harley Davidson. It's always going to be that if you like this. Okay, so let's take a look at Harley Davidson, because the last 30 days looks pretty damn good. 30-day high, 30-day bottom, now she's going up. Argue all you want, disagree all you like, but you can't argue with the numbers. She went up, there's the top. She dropped, there's the bottom. Now she's going up again. 24.63. If I sold the 24.50s, I could pick up 45 cents. Yeah, I'd lose, 13 cents, take 13 off of that, and I'm still walking away with 32. Well, 32 on a 24, I'm going to throw all these numbers in and say, what? Numbers. I should have paid attention in algebra. Yes, you should have. All right, let's take a look at Harley Davidson. Covered call. The 24.50, there it is. One contract. Tell me. Tell me, do you like it? Yeah. Okay, here we go. One covered call. Harley Davidson, 5 June 26th, this coming Friday. The 24.50 call option. Profit investment. Looks good. Looks interesting. What is my calculator telling me? Calculator is telling me if the profit's 44, max profit, 44, and I am investing 24.06, cost of the trade, including commissions and fees, 24.06 divide 24.06 comes to the grand total of 1.8 for 3 days. We have 3 days left, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's it. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days. And Harley Davidson is paying 1.8 for 3 days. So we're going to save that one. Anytime it's over 1%, I'm going to say, hell yeah. And it's Harley Davidson. Believe it or not, I did have a Harley once. I only had one. It's kind of weird. But okay. Did I save it or did I miss it? Oh, there it is right there. And what was it again? 1.8. And there she is. One covered call, Harley Davidson, H-O-G. 5 June 26th, that's this coming Friday. The 24.50 call option. $44 is the profit. $2,400 is the investment for a 1.8% for 3 days. Because 3 days from today, tomorrow morning, Thursday, and Friday. That's it, 3 days for this week. And it's paying 1.8%. And it's over 100 years old. 1.8. Gotta love it, gotta love it. SPCE. Isn't that, hold on, Galactic something by, what's his name? Richard Branson? SPCE. Wait a minute, wait. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. SPCE. SPCE. Virgin Galactic. Richard Branson's. It's going to be a no. It's a monthly. I don't do monthlies. And what the hell is that? Sorry. Nope. Sorry, Bill. I don't do monthlies. And I definitely don't do something that looks like that. How much does an option cost? We already talked about that one. My time is gold. I'm going to agree with you. How do collect premiums? Well, first of all, you have to have an account. Wherever you have an account. Mine's with Charles Schwab, and I got two of them. Charles Schwab and Robinhood. I got 7 accounts, but I have 2 brokers. One's Robinhood, one is Thinkorswim, which is through Charles Schwab. All right, fine. Anyway, so how do you collect a premium? Once you open up your trading platform, you have to first apply to be able to trade stock options. Then you got to read this book. I think it's something, risks and standards. Wait a minute. Characteristics and characteristics and risks of standardized options. I think that's the name of the book. You're supposed to read it and understand it. Well, it's simple. I mean, they give you a big book to read. It's just like options are risky. That's it. It's just another thing to buy and sell, like anything else. Now, if I was going to go into buy and sell cars, well, it's a broad market. It's a lot to do. But if I was going to go buy and sell exotic cars, well, that's a different market. Well, if I'm going to go buy and sell exotic performance electric vehicles, well, now it's even more streamlined, more narrow. It's more, anyway, besides the point, what I'm getting at is buying and selling anything is buying and selling anything. You buy it, you turn around, you sell it for profit. That's the whole thing about it. But if you're trying to collect premiums in the stock market, you actually have to be approved for option selling. Now, I always tell people to go for level 1. It's the simplest and the easiest. It's relatively easy to understand. Hold on. See, when I first started trading, there was 5 levels. And level 1 was just covered calls and cash secured puts. Easy, simple. Level 2 gets a little bit more complicated. Level 3, level 4, level 5. I was at a level 5 at one point, but now they changed it so it's level 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so I'm at a level 3, big deal. But you need to get at least a level 1 that allows you to do covered calls and cash secured puts. They're simple, easy strategies. You're buying something, you're selling something. But the difference between an option, a stock option, and a stock, well, a stock, you own it. Once you buy it, you own it until you decide to sell it. But an option, whether it's a call option or a put option, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what you paid for it, it's going to expire. That's it. You're going to buy it, and the moment you buy it, it's slowly going to decrease in value, or at least the time value part of it. But that being said, that's just what it is. You have to qualify. And then once you qualify, all you're doing is you're buying the stock, whatever the price of stock is, then you're selling the option. And the option, right there, and then you collect the premium. That's it. You sell the premium. Because anytime you do any buying and any selling in the stock market, it's called an order or a trade. You have to open the order and then you have to close the order. So to complete a transaction, there's an opening and there's a closing. That's it. It's kind of like a door. You open to go in and you close to go out. Something like that. Okay? Open, close. So if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell to open. And then I'm going to close it out. I'm going to buy to close. So it's when I'm collecting options or when I'm selling options. Same thing. Alrighty, where were we? Where did we leave? Okay, Bill wanted to look space. That's going to be a no. Cyber Ninja, Life of Mrs. K. And Tron. How you doing, Tron? In the life of Mrs. K. Well, I'm happy to be in your life, Mrs. K, if only for the evening. Good evening and good evening. All right, so Cyber Ninja wants to take a look at VSCO. What the hell is that? VSCO. VSCO. Victoria's Secrets, you little pervert. Okay, Victoria's Secrets is going to be a no. And the reason why, hold on one second, I'll tell you why it's going to be a no. Okay? 2 reasons. Number 1, is I don't do monthly options. June, July, September, December, January. Yeah, I don't do monthlies. They just don't work in my favor. No. Sorry. The Coos, 69, Costco, C-O-S-T. This is where I say hell no. Because I don't buy anything at $954. I'll buy a car for $954, but I won't buy a stock for $954. I cut limit at $350, $400. So I'll buy some Microsoft and some McDonald's. They're in the 300 area. I'll do those. But I won't buy Costco. Hell no. It's out of my price range. Can you look at one that's coming up with the dividend date? Yeah. Which one you got? Extra nunk. I have no idea what a nunk is and why you'd want extra nunk, but okay. Yeah. Tell me which one you want to look at. Which stock do you recommend tomorrow? All right. Sumnath. I don't make predictions. I don't make recommendations. I'll take a look at what you want me to take a look at, and I'll give you my opinion from my point of view. And that's all it is. It's my opinion from my point of view because I'm looking for a specific outcome. My specific outcome is 1% every single week. That's my outcome. That's my specific goal. If you have something that you are interested in doing, fine. But I'm going to give it to you in my perspective, what I'm doing, what I'm looking for. Because there are dozens and dozens of guys out there just like me teaching their strategies. And yeah, all strategies work if you follow the rules. My rules are very simple. Companies got to be profitable for at least 2 decades, and they got to have weekly options. That's it. 2. I'm looking for 2 things and only 2 things. 1, are they consistently profitable for at least 2 decades? That's 20 years. And 2, do they have weekly options available? That's it. Only thing I'm looking for. All righty. Can you look at one coming dates? Yeah, we can. What do you got? Richie, Bambi, how are you? How are you? Uh-oh. Sin wants to take a look at ELF. Now, ELF came up on the list Monday. Look what it did. Now, this is what we saw on Monday. Okay? Down, up. That's what we saw. Well, what happened recently? Look at that. Down has the bottom. She went up. Now she came back down again. Sorry, sometimes that happens. That's why rule number 1 is always, always, always. Never buy something you do not want to hold on to long term. So if you did buy ELF, well, she's coming down now, but how low is it going to go before she turns around and goes back up? That's a very important question. JBL, how you doing? The Financial Comedian. Dude, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Hope everything's well. Nice to see you back then. Peptide Nurse, nice to see you back again. Cognitive Payload. When you're 27, you're young and you can afford to be generous. Yes, you can also afford to make mistakes too. I remember when I was 27, I had a blast. I did. I was at the top of my game. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, right up into my mid-30s. Perfect life. Wonderful. Everything was awesome. Okay? All right. B-Shep, what's going on? Thank you. Jose wants to take a look at SCHD. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that Jose is new because SCHD is a big fat no for me. But hey, Jose, if you like it, fine, you do it. But let me explain to you why I don't like SCHD. Okay? Now, Jose, do you remember the part where I said I want to make sure whatever company I invest in, as a matter of fact, it's my rule number 3, is the company consistently profitable? Now, when I say consistently profitable, I mean does the profits go higher, 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 higher? That's what I'm thinking of. Consistently profitable, higher and higher and higher and higher profits. SCHD doesn't do that. Let me show you. Now, we're looking at the dividends because, Jose, if you don't know, the dividend is a portion of the company's profits that they give back to us, the investors. We are the investors. We buy, we sell, we are the investors. And when we own the shares of a company, we are entitled to a portion of their profits. Now you get two different companies. Companies that take all the profits, put it back into the company for capital growth, those are called growth stocks. I don't do any of those. Company number two are those companies that take the profits and shares it with the investors. That's us. We are the investors. So as they're sharing their profits, are the profits increasing or are the profits decreasing? It's one or the other. They're either making more money this year than they did last year, or they're not. Flip a coin. It doesn't really matter what you say or what you do. Once you flip a coin, here it is. This is my cryptocurrency. Flip a coin. It's it. It's going up, it's going down, one or the other. You do not have a choice because it's only one or the other. It's one or the other. Sugar, no sugar. High, low. Hot, cold. Up, down. Left, right. Hot. It's one or the other. SCHD is not consistently profitable. Let me show you, Jose. Here you go. This is the dividend. Is the dividend increasing or is it decreasing? Is it going up? Is it going down? Hold on, Jose. Here we go. As far back as we can go, which is 2011, 15 years. 4.6, 6.8, 6.9, 8.6, 6.6. It just dropped 20%. Why? Why, Jose? Why did it go from 8.6 to 6.6? All right, look. Higher, 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 lower. Higher, 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 lower. Higher, lower. Hold on, we're not done yet. Higher, lower, lower, higher, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, 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 lower, higher, lower, higher, lower. Do you see what I'm talking about, Jose? It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes. Now, you probably don't understand it, but let me see if I can explain it to you this way. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you put your 40 hours of work in every single week without question. 40 hours work every single week. This week you make $2,000. Next week you make $2,000. Next week you make $1,500. Next week you make $2,000. Next week you make $1,500. Next week it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. That doesn't work for me. Sorry, it's either profitable consistently or it's not. Let me show you something, Jose. You might like this. Okay, hold on. I'm going to show you what consistency of profitability should look like. Here we go, 20 years. Are you ready? 2006, right there. Okay, Jose, check this out. 31, 33, 36, 39, 40, 41, 45, 49, 53, 57, 61, 65, 67, 72, 76, 79, 81, 89, 95, $1, 103, 106. Did you notice each and every year that went higher, 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 higher? SCHD does not do that. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So you can put your money anywhere you want. I don't tell people where to put their money. But I refuse to put my money into a company that goes down. I just don't do it because it's not what I'm looking for. I'm 62. I don't have the luxury of being wrong. If they start losing money this month or this quarter or this year, what makes me think they're not going to do the same thing next year and go down again? No, I only like companies that go up in their profits, consistently increasing. Dividend kings, dividend aristocrats, dividend champions, dividend contenders, and anything on Warren Buffett's list. Those 5 lists: dividend kings, 5 decades of increased profits. Dividend Aristocrats, 25, put that down, 25 years increased profits. List 3, Dividend Champions, 25 years increased profits. Didn't I just say that? Yes, I did, but there's a difference between the Aristocrats and the Champions. Think about it. Aristocrats, a little snobby. The Champions, we are the champions. Anyway, still 25 years increased profits. Then you have the Dividend Contenders, list number 4. 10 to 24 years increased profits. And then for the fun of it, we'll take a look at what Warren Buffett has because, hey, it's Warren Buffett. It is what it is. All right. So, no, long and short, no to SCHD. Sorry. What do we have down here? Who do we have down here? Okay, I'm going to take some questions down here for a second. I'm going to apologize now for you guys who put up questions. It takes me a while to get to them. I have 9 cameras going, which means we're live streaming on 13 different platforms. So I can't answer all the questions as soon as they pop up. I have to stop and slow down a little bit. Simone, what was that you wanted to take a look at? I see you there, Simone. Do you pay capital gains if you do covered calls? It depends on how you have your account.
My auto's on the skyrocketing.
Okay. I have no idea how you just did that. Someone just blurted out something. How the hell did you do that? All right, so let's go back to where we were and answer some questions.
My auto's on is skyrocketing.
I heard you again. Not quite sure how you did that, but all righty. Shrimp 30. Hey, what's up, my guy? Had a quick question. Shoot. All right. Mark Davis. Hello. Can you tell me what will happen to Bitcoin? Sure, I can. Oh.
It's going to go to 0.
Eventually it might. You never know. Pyramid scheme. I wouldn't actually say that. All right. I'm not quite sure how you're doing that, but I'm doing this. That way I don't have to worry about it. All right, there you go. All right. Who let Grandpa on YouTube? All right, whatever. McCool, thank you for that. Thank you, Clueless. 102 Atkinson. How are you doing today? VRT. What the hell is VRT? VRT. Oops, start again. VRT. Vertiv Holdings. What the hell is that? Oh, VRT. VRT. One more time. VRT. 3 times the charm. There it goes. All right. Unfortunately, VRT is... I have no idea. Let's take a look. All righty. Here's the high, 380. Here's the bottom, 100. She jumps up 280%. That's a nice jump. Now she pulled back. Now she's going back up again. What's going on right there? That's going to give me a good idea of what's up. 30-day high, 30-day bottom. Now she's going back up. Okay, that makes sense. Look at it. The bottom, 2 days up. And here's the day number 3. 334. The 335 is going for $9. Hell yeah. Why not? Why not? VRT. 340. There's the 340 right there. One covered call. Here we go. VRT. One covered call. 5 June. The 340 call option. Look at the stock price. $339.74. And we're going to sell it for $340. It's only 26 cents away on a $300 stock. That should be easy. Profit's $847. The investment is $33. Uh-oh. What's the rate of return here? Rate of return. Okay. Profit $847. Hold on. Profit $847 right there. The investment. Cost of the trade, including commissions and fees. $33,153. What's the rate of return? What's the rate of return? $33,153 comes to a grand total of 2.5%. 2.5. Okay, so user 329160 wants to know if I pay capital gains taxes. Well, you know what? You may and may not like the old Trumpy boy, but Trumpy boy wants to get rid of the taxes on retirees. I'm retired, so that's just one. But hold on, because I've been doing this for a while, and taxes was an issue at one point in time. So 2.5, I'm going to hold on to this one because I like 2.5. 2.5 works for me very nicely. Who do we have here? Perusagy. Perusagy? That right? Did I say that right? Perusagy? Okay. Anyway. There it is right here. Number 4 for the evening. Remember, every night we look for 5. 5, 5, 5. Let's sing a song of 5. How many is 5? Who remembers that? 1 covered call, VRT. 5 June 26. That's this coming Friday, 3 days away. The 340 call option, that stock is currently at 339. We're going to sell the 340s. All right, fine. 847 is the profit. 33 is the investment. Now, it may sound a little high to you because basically it is. It's a $300 stock. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Back to that, back to this. Okay, so it was 3, what was it? 2.5%. All right, so 2.5%. All right, that's number 4. We got one more to go. 2.5%. So let's cut, we have. All right, so I'm not going to disregard the question. I'm going to answer the question. You ready? Damn, bro, you lost a tooth. What happened? Didn't lose a tooth. I'm getting what we call that? Implants. I'm getting dental implants. I'm 62. How long do you think teeth last? They don't last your whole lifetime, and eventually they do pop out. They do. But all the other ones are real. This is that one. But next month, I got to fly down to Texas and then put the real, because they put the stud in first, and then you have to walk around with this stupid thing. Hold on a second. Then you're going to walk around with this stupid thing and make you sound like you have a lisp. And then it cuts my upper lip. So I take it out because it cuts my upper lip every time I talk. So I said, no, hell with it, I'll just deal with it. But yeah, I think 4 more weeks, I'll get the implants put in. Pricey. All right, anyway, so down, now she's going back up again. You either like the company or you don't like the company. Plain and simple. Okay, so back to that question. Do I pay capital gains? All right, certain things I don't like to talk about. Politics, religion, weird stuff. I don't like to talk about that. You want to talk about taxes? I'll give you a slight bit on taxes. If you have your trading account in your own personal name, I get 2 hands for this one. Oh, it's going to pop up anyway. All right. If you hold your account in your own personal name, congratulations, you just volunteered to pay the absolute highest taxes possible in your own personal name. They have a saying for 2030, own nothing, control everything. So I don't own anything. It's all in the corporation's name. So the corporation pays corporate taxes. And corporate taxes are a hell of a lot less than personal taxes. But here's where it gets better. Now, let's say, hypothetically speaking, my car dies and the president of the corporation or the CEO of the corporation or the director of the corporation needs a new car. So the corporation buys a car and it takes that as a tax write-off or a loss against the profits. So you really, really, really need to talk to a tax strategist or a tax planner if you're worried about taxes. And then you can always look at the other side. Number one, you can always unsubscribe from the taxes because taxes are voluntary. You volunteer to pay them, and every time you sign that 1040, you say, yep, I continue to volunteer to be a taxpayer. You can always be a non-taxpayer if you wanted to, but then you have to go through that long process to be able to do that. and you can do it legally, but I'm not here to talk about taxes. Jose, we already looked at SCHD. It's going to be a no. Simone is in the house, and Simone wants to talk about RKT. RKT. Unfortunately, Simone, look what happened here. Now, best time to buy anything is at the bottom of the year. But for Rocket, it was last year. She shot up, she dropped, back up, back down. So what's happening right there? I mean, that's based, I'm looking at 5 things. You ready? Anytime you see a chart, you cannot not see it. It's weird. You cannot not see it. 5 things. And they stick out like a sore thumb. The high of the year. It's obvious. The low of the year. That's obvious. Where was it a year ago? Well, that's all the way over there, right there. Where is it today? Well, that's obvious. That's all the way right here. So those 4 bits of information are extremely obvious. High, low, where was it? Where is it? Number 5 is what's the motion? What's the flow? Where is the money coming and going? Well, that's easy too. Up, down, up, down, up, down. All right there. Don't look that groovy, does it? So before we go to before we look deeper into the chart, I want to make sure this thing's profitable enough for me to even think about it. Current price, 14.03. The 14s are going for 29. That's over 2%. Hell yeah, I like that. So I want to zoom in, see what's going on here before I go any further. It's Rajesh. How's it going, Rajesh? Okay, last 30 days. What do you think? It sticks out like a sore thumb. Again, the high, the low, where was it? Where is it? What is the flow? Up, down, up, down. That's a no. Simple. Next. Always take a look. Sticks out. High, low, where was it? Where is it? Up, down, down. People buy, people sell. Okay? It gets to the high, people take profits, stock drops. It gets down here, people say, oh, hold on, $12.50? Yeah, I'm buying it. They buy it. Get here, oh, wait a second, I'm getting rid of it. Because from here, $12.50, which was the bottom, it jumped up to $14.75. Now it dropped. Well, between here and here, that's $2.25. Well, it doesn't sound like a lot, but $2.25 on a $12 stock is about 18%. So she jumps up 18%. Yeah, take my profits. People take profits because that's why we're here. We're here to take profits. Now, you don't know where I'm getting on this little merry-go-round and where I'm getting off. Just like I have no idea where you're buying and where you're selling. Because apparently 19 million shares traded today on this company. So where did I get mine? Where did I sell mine? We're all different. We're all looking for we're all on a different journey, but we're all looking for the same thing. We want to make more money this year than we did last year. And most of us want to do it safely. I want to do it so safely, it's freaking boring. Boring as hell. It's the same stocks over and over and over again. It's the same trades over and over and over again. But guess what? It's also consistently profitable over and over and over again. That's why I do it every single day. All right. Where are we now? Okay, Simone, sorry about that. It's going to be a no. Harry, how are you? Harry. Ooh, Kevin wants to take a look at STZ. Is that Seagate? STZ. Constellation. Damn it. All right, I was wrong. No. Dropping. But look at this. The bottom was yesterday. Okay, up, down. Okay, bottom was yesterday. Today's one day higher. That's it, just one day higher. So maybe, Kevin, this might be turning around. Okay, 30-day top, 30-day bottom. We only have 1 day up. That's it, just 1 day. I like 2 days up, and on the 3rd day, I'll jump in. But all right. Top Fitness, how you doing today? Ray. Thank you there, Ray. Kathy, what's happening, Kathy? De Alessandro. Hot Tamale, where I looked at UPS earlier. Can you give us the first 2 stocks for today? Yeah, I'll give it to you after we're done. Aloha. The EX date is 6/8 for Harley Davidson. Would you roll the option into next week to capture the dividend if you are currently in the trade? Okay, aloha. I'm always going to follow the trend. Follow the money. Where is the money going? Well, here's the high of the year. Here's the bottom of the year. She went up. She went from 17 to 27. That's a $10 increase. People took profits. Now it's going back up again. I will always follow the trend. It's kind of like swimming up. Why would you try to swim upstream? Why go against the crowd? So as it continues to go up, I will hold on to it and I will continually roll it forward as long as it's profitable. But there's always going to be a point where I say, all right, let it go. Because you can only capture so much. So if you're here at 17, she shoots up to 27. Well, it pulled back. Do I wait and let it go up higher? No, I don't hold on to anything. I buy it, I sell it, I move on. All right, what do we have over here? All right, thank you there, Chris. Shell, thank you. Oscar's house. Oscar's house is in the house. Robin the Fever. Don't do Harley. I've been stuck with it for 8 months. Well, I wouldn't consider it stuck, Robin. Okay? Because Harley Davidson does pay a decent premium. It just all depends on where you are and what you're doing. So yeah, I have Harley Davidson and I've had it for about 4 or 5 months. But I'm not going to get rid of it because it gives me money every single week. All right, me sign guy, back again. Nice to see you again. Do you consider the profits in your calculator if you get called out, or is that extra free money? It's extra free money. Okay, sign guy. Okay, so here's Harley Davidson going up, 24.63. If I buy it today at 24.63 and I sell it at 24.50, it looks like I'm selling it at a loss because I'm selling it for less than I paid for it. Current price, 24.63. I sell it for 24.50. I'm losing 13 cents right off the top. Why would I do it? Because look what I'm collecting. I'm collecting for it. So let's do this, right? Okay. All right. So I'm selling it at 24.50. Someone is paying me 45 cents for the privilege of buying it from me at 24.50. So in actuality, I'm actually selling it for 24.95. Okay, that's what I'm walking away with, 24.95. But I'm buying it for 24.63. So I'm actually walking away with 33-cent profit. That's it. It's not a lot, but if we take that 33 cents and we divide it by the purchase price of the stock or the selling price of the stock, which is the 24.50, 24.50, now I'm making 1.3%. So 1.3% for 3 days. Even though I'm selling it for less than I paid for. It's crazy if you think about it. Buying for 24.63, selling it for 24.50, picking up 45-cent premium, walking away with 24.95, subtract what I paid for it. Now I got 33 cents, and 33 cents is 1.3% for 3 days. And I'm okay with that. It's always going to be a numbers game. What am I buying? So I ask myself 5 questions. What am I buying? What am I selling? Where is it? Where is it going? What should I do? Those 5 questions I ask myself every single morning. What did I buy? What did I sell? Where is it? Where's it going? What should I do? Let's get rid of all this. Alrighty. Hopefully that makes sense. Always going to be a numbers game. Always, always, always. All right. Where was I? All right. So, Brian Nelligan, can you do a 30-second pitch on exactly what you do to get 1% ROI a week? Not sure you're doing. Not sure what you're doing. Okay. Hold on. This is for you, Brian. Are you ready? All right. Here we go. 30-second pitch. I'm buying pre-qualified dividend stocks. Those are companies that are consistently profitable for at least 2 decades. That's 20 years. Then I'm buying them just before the EX date, because just before the EX date, stock has a tendency to go up. So knowing that stock's going to go up on a certain date, I jump in 2 weeks before the EX date. I buy the stock at a certain price, sell it at the exact same price using a covered call, walk away with the premium. And the premium is more than 1 point whatever percent. Does that make sense? Okay, Brian. Dr. Jason. How are you, Dr. Jason? Damon, good evening. Patrick Jones, hello. Do I pay capital gains? We already talked about that. Jose, SCHC is going to be a hell no. RKT, we looked at that one. We looked at STZ. Ray. What's going on, Ray? Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Hot Tamale, we already looked at UPS. User 329160. We'll take a look at those in a little minute. Aloha, we just did Harley Davidson. Devin, thank you. Brand. All right. Uh-oh. All right. Let's go back down here. See what we got going on down here. Damn, bro. You lost a tooth. What happened? Called old age. And makes a profit in the process. Thank you there, Hellboy. All right. Bolin wants to take a look at LAC. What the hell is that? Never a good sign when I have to say, what the hell is that? Lithium Amers Corp. Isn't this one of those new ones that have no dividends? LAC. LAC. Yep. Sorry. Bolin. There are no dividends. So, Bolin, I'm not going to pick on you too much, but why would you come to a dividend investing channel and ask for a stock that has no dividends? Kind of curious. Hot Tamale, we already looked at UPS. Boom Wilson. What's happening, Boom Wilson? Hope it's all going well for you. All right. Boom Wilson wants to take a look at ONDS. ONDS. What is that? ONADS? All right, let's go back to here. So I've never heard of it. ONDS. Now, we're at Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance gives me information on the stock before I even do anything else, because I want to know, is the company profitable or is it not? Well, it has no dividends, which means I'm going to have to look at 20 years of quarterly reports and annual reports. And then how do I figure out when it moves predictably? Because we know dividend stocks move predictably just before the dividend. That's why we look at them. The tattooed Philly guy, what's going on? Coach, Simple Crypto News. Oh, cool. How you doing, Coach Simple Crypto News? Esteban wants to take a look at Bank of America. Didn't we look at Bank of America already? BAC. BACATION. In the summer. Okay, here goes the high and the low. Where was it? Where is it? Look at this. Up, down, up, down, up. Okay, it's definitely going up. Fine. What's the numbers? 52.48. 5250 is going from 51 to 56. That's 1%. Let's zoom in. Last 30 days, what is she doing? Up, down, up, down. Now she's going up. You cannot not see that. Look, down, up, down, up. So it's definitely going up. Here's the high right here. So we've got all that space to go. So Bank of America, number 5, there it is. Oliver Twist, Procter & Gamble. We'll take a look at that in a second. Get out of that. Get out of that. Get out of that. Get out of that right damn now. All right, here we go. One contract, Bank of America. Johnny, tell him what he's won. Well, Bill, here we go. Bank of America, BAC, for the 5th of June, 2026. That's this coming Friday. And if you order now, you can get $52.50 call option. And the profit's going to be $55 with a 5,100. That doesn't sound right. The numbers just don't sound right. All right, hold on. Okay, 55 is the profit. We're going to divide it by 51.95 because that is the cost of the trade, including commissions and fees. We want to make sure I'm getting at least 1%. Comes to 1%. Okay, Bank of America. It's over 100 years old. 1%. Why the hell not? If you didn't know, which I'm probably sure almost all of you don't know, hold on. Bank of America is the largest owner of corporate-owned life insurance. Now, some of you are probably thinking, why is he telling us this? Well, here's the thing. Corporate-owned life insurance. You're going to love this. Hold on. One covered call, BAC, Bank of America. 5 June 26th, that's this coming Friday, 3 days away. The 52.50 call option, okay? 55 is the profit, 51.95 is the investment for a flat out 1% rate of return. And that's it. Number 5 for the evening. There we go. All right, so we'll review those just before we leave. But what else do we have? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Louis Gillard, can you take a look at KHC, please? Louis, you're late. You know why I'm saying you're late? Because we looked at KHC earlier today, right around 9, I think like 9:15, something like that. Mr. Andre Lake, L-A-K-E. I just got comfortable on my seat, so I have no intention on getting up. But he wants to take a look at Lake. L-A-K-E. Hell no. Sorry about that, Mr. Andre. It's a hell no, right off the top. I don't do monthlies. Okay, a monthly. June, July, October. Right there. See, look at it. June, July, October, January. Those are months of the year, which means they have monthly options, which I can trade once a month. Now, if I'm getting 1 to 2% with each trade, that means I'm only making 12 to 24% at the end of the year. That doesn't work for me. I want 1 to 2% every week, 52 times a year. That's over 50% at the end of the year. FZ, why 2 things? You're going to have to elaborate because I said a lot of stuff. I'm not quite sure what you mean by 2 things. Giancarlo, Ford. We take a look at Ford almost every night, and it's always, lately, it's been no because it's at this way high here. I don't buy anything at the high. Sorry. Nathan, good evening, Nathan. Jeremy, thoughts on TE? What the hell is TE? That's not a good sign. TE, T1 Electric Inc. Oh, T1 Energy. No. Sorry, dude. Who came up with T1? TE, Jeremy? Okay, Jeremy, I don't know if I said this before, Jeremy, but I don't buy at the high. Why would I want to buy at the high of the year? That doesn't make any sense. Oliver Twist wants to take a look at Procter & Gamble. Okay, Procter & Gamble. Hot tamale, nice shirt. You want one? I got a whole stack of them. Okay, we went and did a seminar. We bought, I think, I don't know, 50, 60 shirts. So I got a whole bunch of shirts left. Financial comedians in the house. It's about time, dude. Mike Rice. How you doing, Michael Rice? Oh, so anyway, Procter & Gamble. Yeah, it's at the bottom, dude. Getting close to the bottom of the year. Perfect time for buying once it turns around. Look at that. Yesterday was the bottom of the year. Well, bottom of the 30-day period. And today's one day up. So Procter & Gamble, I'm going to write it down for next week because it looks like it's going to be good for next week. Procter & Gamble. Now, Procter & Gamble, if you didn't know, is a dividend king, which means they got 5 decades of income. Holy cow, we got 4 minutes left. So let's go through the questions. We got our 5 for the night. So we're going to go through the rest of these questions. SMCI, LMAC. I don't think you're going to like SMCI. SMCI. Now, LMAC, we're going over to Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance is going to tell us what SMCI has been doing. Now, why would you come, okay, SMCI, why would you come to a dividend investing channel and suggest a stock that has no dividends? SMCI has no dividends. So you only do option trades, no stock trades? Yeah, I do stock trades. I buy the stocks and I sell the options against them. If I'm making more money on the options, why would I consider the stocks? Because I buy the stocks and I sell the options against them. Mr. Andre, we looked at RKT, Rocket Corporation, about half hour ago. All right. Mr. Sign Guy, do you consider the profit in your calculations if you get called out? Absolutely. It's free money. You're right. Rich Scanyon, what's going on? Thank you. You're welcome. Shell, RDW. Is that Redwire? Didn't we say no to Redwire yesterday? RDW. Redwire. Shell. You see this right here? There are no dividends for Redwire. That's going to be a no right from the top. No nickname. Hello. Back again. Because I remember you. You were here before. No nickname is very standouts. All right. Bobby, good evening. Good evening, no nickname. Ty Gunter, how you doing? Scotty Hines, what's going on? Wormwood. Okay. What company is that? Redwire? Yep, I see you're back again. What is on your thoughts for SoFi? I don't do SoFi. I don't do anything that's heavily marketed because you're playing for the marketing. You're not really paying, for the company itself. And check this out. SoFi, no dividends, which means they're not sharing their profits. So it's going to be a no right from the top. Mr. Andre, Starbucks. Love Starbucks. I do. We looked at it last night. SBUX. It's dropping like a rock at the moment, but keep your eye on it because as soon as she finds the bottom and turns around, goes back up, then we'll jump in because we do keep an eye on Starbucks. Okay, we jump in as she's going up, and then we get out after we take our profits. Forever forgiven. That's fair. Thank you. You're welcome. All righty. Option strategy. Yes, Esteban. So I buy something and I sell it. That's it. I buy it and I sell it. Impossible. BTC go to zero. No, nothing's impossible. Okay, so who said that one? EJ Wu. Okay, EJ, I could ask you one question, and this one question will tell me whether or not Bitcoin will go to zero. When you ask, who killed Kennedy? The answer to that question will tell me whether or not I want to have a conversation with you or whether I don't want to have a conversation with you. Because Bitcoin can go to zero. Now, 3 AI bots. I have no idea what that means. He is in as a guest. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Fitz, AutoZone is skyrocketing. Yes, it is. Great show. Hey, thank you, Dr. Corey. My AutoZone is skyrocketing. All righty then. But you got to remember, all right, Zilvilli sticks. Okay, so AutoZone, what is it? ATZ? ATZ. Nope, that ain't it. ATZN. Oh, I don't even know what it is. The feds did it. Yeah, we know that. All right. Forever Forgiven. I sub. This channel is gold for investments. Pan American silver. I got into it 22 and it pays dividends and has done well since last year. Well, of course it has. But silver is going to skyrocket because if you take a look at the numbers just aren't working. The amount of contracts that's selling on the silver, we as in the planet doesn't have that much silver. So how can they deliver all that silver that people are buying? Just can't happen. So the actual physical silver, the coin itself or the blocks or the ingots or whatever you want to call them, they're going to skyrocket pretty soon when most people come to the realization that there's not as much silver as they're trying to sell. So, Mr. Andre, you're right. The feds did it. But the answer to that question, most people say John Wilkes Booth. And those who say that, I know not to talk to those people because they listen to propaganda and they listen to bullshit. Because if you believe the Warren report where a bullet can stop in midair and turn and then continue and turn again, yeah, if you believe that bullshit, you believe anything. Will T. It's always great. I have no idea what it's always great means. But all right. Thank you, that, Will T. SpaceX stock price. SpaceX doesn't have a stock price yet. Family, faith, and shop. Thank you for that. Your mom's favorite pool boy. Oh, man, that's disturbing. Because I feel bad for any pool boy that goes over my mother's. My mother's in her 80s. Yeah, that's disturbing as hell. All right, so Casey Moore. I don't do politics, so please don't do that. Motive for life. Nope, I'm not volunteering. You got to unvolunteer. Esteban, what type of company did you file professionally? Oh, it's a C Corp. Well, I actually got a bunch. A C Corp, a trust, and an LLC. I got to get a couple more because there's a few other things. All right, dish soap. Yesterday, next week, I was at the Burger King pharmacy trying to buy frozen soup ingredients when this cop pulls me over under and say license and registration alphabetically, please. All right. Drew, what's happening, Drew? Nice to see you. Finally made it. Nice going there, Mr. Drew. Okay, Esteban. Keith, how you doing? Vaughn. Nurse E, how you doing? Natmare. Aloha. Can we look at Dow? Why don't we look at it tomorrow? Because we're past 11 o'clock. My Way Fashion. Okay. Josie Bear. What's going on, Josie Bear? JP Rudder. Thoughts on Celsius. Let's look at it tomorrow. Just dropped in. What stock is that? That is Starbucks. Addis. What's happening, Addis? I lost you. I have no idea what that means. But okay. All right. Let's say I have 10,000. You have 10,000. Not quite sure what that means, but okay. Ooh, Tony, MOS. That's Mosaic. We'll take a look at tomorrow. LAC, too much government involvement. Price he just bought at. Okay. Matthew, Reeve, thank you. Ren Williams, IBM would have made me rich and I sold too early. I can do a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas too, but I don't. Olivia, how you doing, Miss Olivia? I have 12C No idea what that means. 717, entry at 2.3. Okay. 2 quart, how you doing? Mercure style, Nike, when you can, please. Tomorrow, because we're past 11 o'clock. Jesus trades. I'm sure he does. Thomas, how you doing? Fat Wreck, I was in Micron Tech since 200 a share. Ready to sell? Micron is MU. And here's the thing. Okay, you've been at 200. It's not a profit, Fat Wreck, until you take it. I really want to learn your technique. Kongira Jean, DM me your number. I'll give you a buzz. Okay? Either drop your number in the, not on the screen. All right? DM me. Send me your number. I'll give you a buzz. Or go to the website and just book a call. One or the other. I only take advice from CFA charter holders. Okay. Thank you for that, Fat Wreck. Carlito's Way. I see that. TXG Reels. Thoughts on Bitcoin, MSTR. Okay, Bitcoin, I don't do cryptocurrency here. MSTR, I don't do that here either because MSTR is not as profitable as you would like to think it is. Romeo, what is your favorite dividend stock? I would have to say it's a tough one between, at this moment, between Macy's and Kohl's for this time, this moment. All right, Mr. Andre, Costco. Dude, that's over $900 a share. No thanks. Bobby, thank you. Thank you. Maria, by the way, why was it significant Bank Corp? Oh, for life insurance. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Maria. I haven't forgot about that. I did forget about it. Sorry. I saw the magic bullet on Looney Tunes cartoon on Saturday morning. Yeah, I saw that too. Okay, you know what else I saw? Do you remember that movie with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons, where Gene Simmons played the bad guy, and they actually created a bullet that could turn? It was a rocket-propelled bullet as a special gun. And once you pointed and aimed at someone, it captured their DNA, and it just followed them wherever you go, so you can't get away from it. I remember that gun. That was in a movie with Tom Selleck and Gene. I forget the name of that. Does anybody know the name of that movie? Gene Simmons and Tom Selleck were in a movie, and it was a futuristic movie, and he did robots and whatnot. But you're right, the magic bullet stops, turns, goes, that kind of stuff. Anyway, all right, so that being said, so Maria wants to know, why is it significant that Bank of America owns so much life insurance? Because here's the thing. A lot of people, you don't know what life insurance can do for you. Because life insurance in a, what do they call it? Give me a second. IUL, a universal life insurance policy. Okay, an IUL is where you buy a life insurance policy, and the money that you put in goes into an index, S&P, the Russell 2000, the Spiders, whatever. You get to pick whatever index you want to put it in. And the neat thing about it is that the money that is put in is invested into an index, and that grows tax-free. And you can borrow from it tax-free. So what I'm doing with my money is I'm also buying a life insurance policy, and with the typical life insurance policy that I'm buying, I can borrow again. So look at it this way. If I put $1 million into a life insurance policy, 30 days later, I can take out 90% of that, which would be 900,000. Now that 1 million stays in an index, and that grows anywhere between 8 to 10% every year, tax-free. Now that 900,000 that I just borrowed from my million, well, now I'm getting 1% a week on that, and that's $9,000 a week. $9,000 a week, or $450,000 a year. The same money. So I'm investing the same money twice. I'm getting 10% tax-free in the life insurance policy, and then I take the other 900,000, and I'm getting 50% per year, which is another 450,000. So it's ingenious. So they take all this money, they put it into these indexes through the life insurance, because it, and then think about it, when each and every individual, what they call them, employee, because you have to be on a person, life insurance. When that person dies, that money goes right to the corporation. So when I die, the money doesn't go to my kids. The money goes to the corporation, and they own shares in the corporation. So it goes to the kids tax-free. And the life insurance policy, well, that part goes to the corporation. So they can borrow money from the corporation, and borrow money is tax-free. It's ingenious the way they do it. But anyway, that's a total different story. We're past 11 o'clock. I think we got all the questions done. Mr. Andre will do those tomorrow. You can borrow money against life insurance policy. It has to be a specific type of life insurance policy. But remember, the life insurance policy, the money for the IULs and the VULs goes into a separate account that grows tax-free. And then you can borrow money from it. And if you have enough to borrow, think of it this way. Let's say hypothetically you take all your money and you dump it into your life insurance. Because you can do that legally. All right? And then you borrow the money from your life insurance policy to pay your monthly bills. and then you do it again. You just keep, it's strange how it works. See, the rich people don't want us little people knowing this kind of information. Man, I'm so glad I found this channel. Absolutely gold as far as knowledge. Shit, dude, I got a whole bunch. Okay, ever since I was like, I think 17 or 18. When I was like 17 years old, my dad said, hey, you got to listen to this guy on TV. Now, I was about 17, 18 back in the early 80s. That was the day of the infomercial. And anybody who had something interesting was selling on an infomercial. And I bought a whole shitload of that stuff. Because information is valuable, especially information that they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that you can invest the same dollar twice. And borrowed money is tax-free. So let's say your bills are $50,000 a year. So every quarter, every 90 days, you take out, what is that, 12, 13,000? You borrow that. Well, you take out 15,000. Okay, so 15,000 you take out, that pays your bills, and the extra money, that goes to pay the loan. And then, as it grows, yeah, it gets bigger and bigger. Then at the end of the year, you're operating at a loss, so that's a tax write-off. And then you go back to the next year, you borrow money again, because borrowed money is tax-free. And then you just keep doing it over and over again. So you take all your money, you put it into your life insurance policy, that grows at 10%, uninterrupted tax-free, and you can borrow that money anytime you want. Freaking ingenious. You about to borrow is a non-taxable event. Yes, I'm aware about that. Yeah. So think about it. If you took all the money you made and put it into an account that grows 10% a year, and then you take the money you need to live off of and you borrow it from your corporation, all right, that is a tax-free event. You don't have to pay taxes on that. And the corporation can buy the what do you call it? The housing for the, what do you call it? The board members or the president, the vice president, the whatever. It's so cool the way that the system is set up. But most people realize that, oh, I'm an employee. I don't get it. Employees get shit on. You put something in your own personal name, you're going to pay the highest amount of taxes possible. You put it into a trust, you put it into a life insurance, you put it into a corporation, boom, you pay less taxes. You can pay zero taxes if you do it right. Anyway, if you borrow, won't that take away from the potential earnings of it being invested? Absolutely it will. But think of it this way. You got two choices. You got to pay your bills anyway. So do you take that money, get taxed on it, then pay your bills, or you take all that money, throw it in to your policy as it grows, borrow money to pay your bills? Because you got to pay your bills anyway. We're the only species on the planet that's got to pay to live here. You have to pay to live here. There's no place anywhere that you can live for free. You have to pay something. Well, there are a few people out there, but you have to do something. Do you have a course on this? Sweeties, how are you? Would you believe I should, but I don't. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not going to say, hey, if you order now, you can get two for the price of one. And if you go to right now, I'm going to give it to you half price. No, I don't have anything to sell you. I'm just sharing information. Because I got fed up with all this bullshit that I got shit on from every single direction growing up. Being a single white male, you get absolutely nothing. Women, you're called a minority. You get perks from the government. If you're brown, black, yellow, green, orange, you get perks from the government that single white male don't get. So don't give me that white male privilege shit, because we get nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. We pay for everything. Need more information and step-by-step instructions. Sweetie, just show up tomorrow night. Keep showing up. Keep asking questions. I'll get the best I possibly can. I saw the magic bullet on Looney Tunes. I saw that too. All right. So, that being said, we're way past 11 o'clock. We'll do this all over again tomorrow. Sorry, senorita. Senorita, you're just showing up. And I'm saying, ooh, you ready? Wait a minute. I say goodbye and you say hello. Hello, hello. I don't know why you say hello. I say goodbye. All right, so yo. All right, dang, I missed it. You missed it all because I'm getting ready to leave. I'm here every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we do this thing over and over and over again. Same thing over and over now. Have a good night, sir. What time do you actually typically? 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But on the second half of the year, in July 1st, we're going to be doing 8 o'clock. Powers that be said 9 o'clock is too late. So it's going to be 8 o'clock in July. This will be the last month of 9 p.m. For mortgage down payment, ooh, I got a whole bunch of interesting information about mortgage down payment. Number one, you want to put as much as possible as an earnest money deposit. And in the so you have a line that says earnest money deposit. Great. Earnest money deposit in parentheses to be considered as a prepaid, prepaid consultant fee for 2 years. A 2-year prepaid consultant fee. Do you know why? Because down payment's on tax deductible, but a prepaid, I just said it 2 seconds ago. Don't get old, it's no fun. First thing that goes to mind. That's one of the reasons why I do these videos. So as the mortgage payment, it's earnest money deposit to be considered as a prepaid, no, it's not maintenance. Damn it. Consulting fee. Yes, prepaid 2-year consulting fee. That is a tax write-off. Yeah, when you go to buy a house, yeah, mortgage down payment, no, not a mortgage down payment, but $1 is a mortgage down payment, and then whatever the other 20% or 10% is going to be earnest money deposit. And the earnest money deposit is going to say to be considered as a prepaid 2-year consulting fee. Who knows more about that house than the person who lives there? So you just pick up the phone. This is what you're going to tell the IRS. Because the person living there knows everything about the house. So yeah, I want to be able to call this dude and say, hey, when was this house replaced? When was this? When was this? 2-year prepaid consulting fee. And then it's a tax write-off. I know it's a horrible thing. Consultant fee, thank you. Yes, you're right. I got $5,000 to invest and want to double it in a couple of months. What should I do? Sergio, you should go somewhere else. I'm sorry to say that, dude. That's not what I'm doing. If you're looking for getting rich quick, this ain't it. This is slow. This is boring. This is methodical. This is 1% every single week. Do you only do covered calls? No. I do more than covered calls. But here, I only give away one strategy for free. And that's the covered call, which I taught for my 9-year-old. All right. We're done. Catch you guys again tomorrow. We need some mood music. Close out the night. Mood music. Somebody hates this. I forget who it is. Mood music. You ready? It's my anthem, my theme. Where is it? Oh, no. Where is it? Videos. There it is.
Wait. How old is the new hire?
I don't know, but he literally uses Excel.
You dream in stars and dive into the deep, fixing the world while the rest of us sleep. Your heart set on giving, no matter the strain, building your legacy through love and brain. Julie knows that fire in your soul, the kind that lifts the broken whole. James, you reach the skies no one dares. In your hands the future's caught on.
They gave us tickets. They told us we were going to see Johnny Carson. They told us we would laugh, go home, sleep. That is what they told us. Nobody told us what was actually going to happen on that stage. Nobody warned us. Nobody could have. I was 22 years old. I did not sleep for 3 days. My hands would not stop shaking. My girlfriend thought I was sick. I was not sick. I was changed.
50 years later, and I am still, you will see. Bruce Lee arrived at NBC Studios at 5:15 p.m., almost 3 hours before showtime. He came alone. Johnny, he'll ask you about your career, your philosophy, what you've been working on. Standard stuff, maybe 8 to 10 minutes. Then we bring out the second guest. Fred paused. The second guest is a professional wrestler named Andre the Giant. He's very large. Johnny wants to create a moment between the two of you. A conversation about size versus skill, strength versus speed, that kind of thing. Light, playful, nothing physical. Bruce looked at Fred with those eyes. The ceiling looks down at a prayer candle. So, Andre says into the microphone Carson has angled upward for him, this is the little man who is more impressive than me. 28 million people hold their breath. Carson felt it immediately. The temperature in the studio shifted. The audience, which had been laughing and warm 30 seconds ago, was now people heard with perfect clarity. Put the chair down now. The studio was so silent you could hear the electric hum of the stage lights. Andre's arm began to tremble. Not from the weight. 135 pounds was nothing to a man who had lifted 400-pound wrestlers over his head in arenas across the world. His arm was trembling because something was happening that his body could not explain to his brain. Bruce Lee, standing on that suspended chair, had placed 2 fingers on the inside of Andre's wrist. Just 2 fingers. The index and middle finger of his right hand pressed into the soft tissue between the 2 tendons on the underside of Andre's massive forearm. The pressure was precise, surgical, applied to a nerve cluster that most people don't know exists, and that Bruce Lee had spent 15 years learning to find blindfolded. Andre's hand opened involuntarily. His fingers released the armrest, not because he chose to let go, because his nervous system betrayed him. The signal from his brain that said grip was overridden by a signal from his wrist that said release. And in that fraction of a second, as Andre's hand opened and the chair began to drop, Bruce moved. He didn't jump from the chair. He stepped off it, 1 foot to the armrest, 1 foot to the desk, and then he was standing on Johnny Carson's desk, looking down at Andre the Giant. Looking down at a man the world called the 8th wonder of the world on live television, in front of 28 million people. Bruce Lee was standing on the desk, perfectly balanced, his navy suit unwrinkled, his tie still straight, not a single hair displaced, and he was looking down at Andre the Giant. The chair hit the floor with a crack that sounded like a gunshot. The audience jumped. Carson, who had backed against the painted skyline, was pressing both hands against the set wall behind him. Ed McMahon had his hand on the telephone beside his chair, ready to call security, ready to call anyone. Doc Severinsen had stood up from behind his music stand, his trumpet still in one hand, his mouth open. And Andre stood there, looking up, for the first time in his adult life, looking up at another human being. His brain could not process this. He was Andre the Giant. People looked up at him. That was how the world worked. That was the fundamental law of his existence. He was tall. Everyone else was short. He was big. Everyone else was small. And now a 135-pound man was standing on a desk looking down at him with an expression that contained no fear, no anger, no triumph. Just stillness. Just absolute terrifying calm. I asked you to put the chair down, Bruce said. His voice carried through the studio without a microphone. Clear. Controlled. Every consonant precise. You chose not to listen, so I solved the problem myself. That is what I do. I don't wait for the world to accommodate me. I adapt. I overcome. I find the solution that no one else sees. That is not kung fu, Andre. That is not a trick. That is what happens when you underestimate someone based on their size. Andre said nothing. His mouth was slightly open. His right hand, the one that had held the chair, was opening and closing slowly, involuntarily, the nerve cluster still firing confused signals. He looked at his own hand as if it belonged to a stranger. Then he looked back up at Bruce. The studio audience had not breathed in what felt like a full minute. 28 million living rooms across America were frozen. Husbands had stopped drinking their beer. Wives had stopped folding laundry. Teenagers who were supposed to be in bed were standing in hallways watching through cracked doors. Nobody changed the channel. Nobody even blinked. Carson, from his position against the back wall, did something extraordinary. Something that proved why he was the greatest television host who ever lived. He started to laugh. Not nervous laughter, not panicked laughter. Genuine, full-bodied Johnny Carson laughter that broke the tension like a hammer through a window. "Bruce," Carson said, still laughing, straightening his tie, walking back toward his desk where a martial artist was still standing. In 30 years of television, I have never had a guest stand on my desk, and I have to say, you're the first one I didn't want to stop. The audience exploded. Laughter, cheering, applause that shook the studio walls. Bruce looked down at Carson and smiled. Then he did something that would become the single most replayed moment in Tonight Show history. He looked at Andre, gave a small, respectful bow, and then dropped from the desk back into his chair in one fluid motion. No jump, no stumble, no adjustment, just gravity and grace. He landed in the chair, crossed his legs and adjusted his tie as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't just done the impossible on live television. Andre stood motionless for 3 seconds. 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours to every person in that studio. Then something happened that no one expected. Not Carson, not the audience, not the 28 million people watching at home, not even Bruce Lee. Andre sat down. He pulled the reinforced chair toward the desk, lowered his 420-pound frame into it and sat. The chair groaned but held. And then Andre the Giant, the 8th wonder of the world, the man who had never in his adult life shown submission to any human being on this planet, turned to Bruce Lee and said 7 words that would be quoted in every martial arts magazine, every wrestling publication, and every television retrospective for the next 50 years. "I have never met a man like you." His voice cracked on the last word, not from emotion, from something deeper, from the tectonic shift that happens inside a human being when a belief they have carried their entire life is shattered in 4 seconds by 2 fingers on a wrist. The audience erupted again, but this time it was different. This wasn't shock. This wasn't entertainment. This was 450 people witnessing something genuine, something unscripted, something that could not be manufactured or rehearsed or produced by any network executive. A giant had just acknowledged a man 1/3 his size as his equal, on live television, without being forced, without being defeated, simply because he recognized something in Bruce Lee that transcended physical measurement. Carson, sensing the moment with the instinct of a man who had hosted 10,000 hours of live television, did not crack a joke, did not deflect, did not go to commercial.
"We will get you 1,000,000 views or you don't pay. And if you give me 15 seconds, I'll explain exactly how this works. First, we build a tailored system around what's working in your niche and then implement content systems for you so that all you got to do is sit down."
He leaned forward and asked the question that every single person watching wanted answered. "Andre, what just happened? Help us understand what we just saw." Andre looked at his right hand again, opened it, closed it. The nerve was still tingling. He looked at Carson, then at the audience, then at Bruce. "I have been the biggest man in every room since I was 14 years old," Andre said slowly. "Every room, every arena, every country. I've never been afraid of any man. I walked into this studio tonight believing that size is everything, that strength is everything, that this small man was a joke." He paused. The studio was absolutely silent. He made my hand open. I did not choose to open it. He decided my hand would open. And it opened. My body listened to him instead of me. No man has ever done that. No man has ever taken control of my body away from me. I weigh 420 pounds, and he controlled me with 2 fingers. Andre turned to Bruce. How? Bruce uncrossed his legs and leaned forward. Your size is a gift, Andre, but you have been using it as a weapon for so long that you forgot it is also a vulnerability. Every nerve in your body is larger than a normal person's nerve. Every pressure point is closer to the surface. Your size doesn't protect you from precision. It makes you more vulnerable to it. The bigger the machine, the smaller the wrench needed to stop it. Andre stared at Bruce for a long moment. Then he did something that backstage crew members would swear they never saw Andre do before or after that night. He extended his hand, not to grab, not to crush, not to intimidate, to shake. His massive hand hung in the air between them, open, waiting. Bruce took it. His entire hand disappeared inside Andre's grip. They shook once, firm, respectful. 2 men from opposite ends of the physical spectrum acknowledging each other across a distance that most people thought could never be bridged. Carson looked into camera 1. His eyes were wet. He would deny it in interviews for years, but the tape doesn't lie. Johnny Carson, the coolest man in television, the man who never broke, had tears in his eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, Carson said, his voice carrying 30 years of television experience and something new, something raw. I have hosted this show for 9 years. I have sat at this desk with presidents, astronauts, movie stars, and legends. And I'm telling you right now, tonight, what you just witnessed will never be matched. Not on this show. Not on any show. You just watched something real. And in this business, real is the rarest thing there is. The Tonight Show went to commercial. When it came back, Andre and Bruce were gone from the desk. But backstage, in the narrow corridor between dressing rooms 1 and 3, Gerald Myers, the production assistant, witnessed something he kept private for over 30 years. Andre was sitting on the concrete floor, his back against the wall, his legs stretched across the entire width of the corridor. Bruce was sitting beside him. 2 men who, 90 minutes earlier, had been adversaries, were now talking quietly. Andre was asking about pressure points. Bruce was explaining the meridian system. Andre was listening with the focus of a first-day student, and Bruce was teaching with the patience of a man who understood that the most important victories are not the ones the world sees, but the ones that happen in quiet hallways after the cameras stop rolling and the audience goes home, and 2 people who are supposed to be enemies discover they have more in common than anyone, including themselves, ever imagined. Andre never spoke publicly about that night, but 3 weeks later, a handwritten letter arrived at Bruce Lee's home in Bel Air. The handwriting was enormous, each letter nearly an inch tall, written by hands too large for normal penmanship. It said simply, "You are the only man who ever made me feel small. Thank you. It was the best feeling of my life. Your friend, Andre."
Attention retirees, if
At 140 pounds, with size 7.5 feet, and eyesight so bad the U.S. Army disqualified him from service, Bruce Lee should have been ordinary. Instead, he showed what a real-life superhuman was. He launched men across rooms from 1 inch away. He lifted his entire body weight on just 2 fingers. This isn't mythology or movie magic. It's documented evidence, and it raises an uncomfortable question. Was Bruce Lee simply elite or something beyond human? The superhuman strength. Bob Baker crossed his arms and told the crowd he'd seen every fake martial arts trick there was. At the Long Beach International Karate Championships, Baker had volunteered to expose what he assumed was another con artist pretending physics didn't apply. Bruce placed his fist against Baker's chest, with maybe an inch of space between his knuckles and the man's body. What happened next defied everything Baker thought he knew about force and motion. He flew backward like he'd been hit by a car, crashing into a chair that probably saved him from going through the wall. The crowd went silent. They'd just watched something impossible. Punches need distance to build power. Every boxer knows this. Every fighter knows this. Bruce had just proved them all wrong. Years later, Stanford biomechanics researcher Jessica Rose spent months analyzing the footage. Her calculations kept coming out impossible. Bruce had generated over 1,500 newtons of force from that single inch of movement. Enough power to crack ribs like breadsticks. The secret wasn't in his arm. The power started in his back foot, pressed against the floor like he was trying to push the earth itself. That force traveled up through his calf, twisted through his thigh, accelerated through his hip rotation, whipped through his core, channeled through his shoulder, and finally exploded out of his fist. Every muscle fired in perfect sequence, each one adding its power to the wave traveling up his body. The final snap of his wrist at impact multiplied everything, like cracking a whip. Bruce spent 15 years learning to fire every muscle in this exact sequence. Not approximately right, perfect to the millisecond. Traditional martial artists generate maybe 30% of their potential power because their muscle groups work against each other, canceling force instead of amplifying it. Since 1964, hundreds of martial artists have tried to replicate the one-inch punch. They study the footage frame by frame. They practice the stance, the hip rotation, the weight transfer. Some manage to push people back a few feet. Nobody has matched the original, the fight that changed everything. Wong Jackman arrived at Bruce Lee's Oakland school wearing traditional kung fu robes and carrying a written challenge. The document, signed by elders from San Francisco's Chinatown martial arts community, contained an ultimatum that sounds ridiculous today but was deadly serious in 1964. Stop teaching kung fu to non-Chinese students or fight their chosen champion. Bruce read it, laughed, and told Wong to warm up. The politics behind this fight stretched back centuries. Traditional Chinese masters believed martial arts secrets belonged exclusively to Chinese people. Teaching white students wasn't just breaking tradition, it was betrayal. Bruce had been teaching anyone who could pay his $20 monthly fee. College kids, housewives, black students from Oakland, hippies from Berkeley. The old masters saw this as selling out their heritage. Bruce saw it as paying rent. What happened next depends on who tells the story. Linda Lee says the fight lasted 3 minutes and ended with Wong running around the room trying to escape while Bruce chased him. Wong claimed it went 20 minutes and ended in a draw. Bruce's students backed Linda's version. But everyone agreed on one detail that mattered more than who won. Bruce couldn't finish it quickly. The fight started with both men circling, testing distance with quick jabs. Bruce expected Wong to fight like a traditionalist, all straight lines and classical stances. Instead, Wong kept backing up, forcing Bruce to chase him around the small room. Every time Bruce closed the distance, Wong would pivot and reset. This wasn't cowardice. It was a strategy. Wong knew Bruce's Wing Chun worked best at close range, so he stayed far away. 3 minutes of chasing someone around a room doesn't sound exhausting until you try it. Bruce threw dozens of punches, most hitting air or grazing Wong's constantly moving body. His traditional Wing Chun footwork fell apart when the opponent refused to engage. By the time Bruce finally cornered Wong and landed enough solid hits to end it, his lungs burned and his legs shook. That night, Bruce sat with Linda in their small apartment above the school and said something that changed everything. "I'm done with classical martial arts. Not done training or fighting, but done pretending ancient techniques still worked in modern combat." He'd won the fight, but lost faith in traditional martial arts. Building the perfect fighting machine, Jeet Kune Do. His garage looked like a library had crashed into a gym. Books stacked to the ceiling. Anatomy textbooks next to Buddhist philosophy. Bodybuilding magazines over combat manuals. By 1965, he owned over 2,500 books. The transformation started with two men. James Yim Lee was a welder who'd been lifting weights since the 40s. Alan Joe was the first Chinese-American bodybuilding champion. Bruce started showing up at dawn, asking questions while they bench pressed. Traditional martial artists trained in techniques. Bruce trained attributes. A traditional fighter might practice a punch 10,000 times until it looked perfect. Bruce identified what made punches powerful, then built that quality. Speed came from fast twitch muscle fibers. Power came from connecting the whole body. Monday, weights, never more than 8 reps. Tuesday, running. Wednesday, flexibility. Thursday, different muscles. Friday, heavy bag work. Saturday, sparring. Sunday, supposedly rest, but Linda would find him doing fingertip push-ups. Progressive overload became his religion. Every workout had to be harder than the last. He kept detailed notebooks. By 1967, he'd compressed his training to 30-minute sessions so intense that observers got tired watching. He carried spring-loaded grippers everywhere. Students remembered him casually bending bottle caps with his thumb while explaining techniques. Bruce studied fighting like an engineer studies bridges. He threw away Wing Chun's rigid stances and borrowed the boxer's footwork. He stole the fencer's understanding of distance. Every fighting system had something useful buried under traditions. One afternoon in 1967, Bruce walked into his school carrying 20 years of certificates and belts. His students watched him dump everything in a trash can and light it on fire. No more classical mess. He called it Jeet Kune Do. 3 principles replaced 10,000 techniques. Simplicity, 1 movement instead of 2. Directness, the shortest distance to your target. Freedom, becoming water that could crash like a wave or flow around obstacles. Traditional masters sent champions to challenge him. Each one left confused and bruised. Bruce was building a science of combat, testing every technique against resistance, keeping only what survived reality. Bruce's students were winning street fights after 6 months. They sparred constantly against different styles. No belts, no forms, just evolution toward becoming more dangerous. Invisible to cameras, the speed that broke Hollywood. William Bodine had directed over 300 films when he showed up to the Green Hornet set in 1966. He'd worked through the silent era, the talkies, and every advancement in film technology. Nothing prepared him for Bruce Lee throwing his first punch. The footage came back from the lab looking broken. Bruce appeared to stand perfectly still. Then suddenly the stuntman flew backward into a wall. No movement between those 2 points. The camera department spent hours checking equipment, thinking something had malfunctioned. The problem wasn't the cameras. Film ran at 24 frames per second, the same speed used since the 1920s. Bruce's punches were completing their entire arc in less than 1/24th of a second. He was literally moving between the frames, invisible to technology designed specifically to capture human movement. When they brought in specialized equipment to measure his actual speed, the numbers broke their understanding of what humans could do. 1 punch clocked at 500ths of a second from start to impact. Your brain takes longer than that to process that you've seen something move. The producers faced a problem nobody had encountered before. They'd hired the most skilled martial artist in America, but audiences couldn't see what made him special. Television viewers would think the film was edited badly or that the stuntmen were taking dives. They had to ask Bruce to slow down, to deliberately move at half speed so the cameras could catch him. Every artificially slow punch went against 15 years of training designed to make him faster, more efficient, more invisible. Bruce found other ways to demonstrate this impossible speed. The coin trick became his favorite party demonstration. He'd place a dime in someone's open palm and stand 3 feet away. "Close your hand the instant you see me move," he'd say. The person would nod, confident. Bruce would twitch. They'd snap their hand shut, feeling the coin safe inside. Then they'd look down. The coin in their hand wasn't the dime Bruce had given them. It was a penny. The original dime was now in Bruce's hand. He'd crossed 3 feet, opened their hand, swapped the coins, and returned to his starting position faster than their brain could process movement had occurred. During one training session, Bruce told his student to block his punch. The student, an experienced fighter, watched carefully. Bruce threw what he called a light tap, barely any force behind it. The student ended up with a dislocated shoulder. Not from the impact, but from his own body's reaction, trying to block something moving too fast for his reflexes to properly respond to. His arm jerked so violently, trying to intercept the invisible punch, that it popped out of its socket. When Bruce finally made his own films, he solved the camera problem by shooting fight scenes at 32 frames per second, then playing them back at 24. This 8-frame difference made his movements visible while preserving their superhuman quality. That's why fight scenes in Enter the Dragon look different from every martial arts movie before it. Iron fingers and superhuman conditioning. Bruce Lee could support his entire body weight on 2 fingers while having a philosophical conversation about Taoism. Not for a photo opportunity or a quick demonstration. He'd pump out 200 fingertip push-ups while explaining the difference between classical and modern training methods to whoever was watching. Each finger supported roughly 40 pounds of dynamic shifting weight with every rep. His breathing stayed normal. His voice never wavered. This was his warm-up. The journey to those iron fingers started with a bucket of sand in his backyard. Every morning at 5 a.m., Bruce would drive his fingertips into the sand 500 times. Not punches, but deliberate strikes designed to condition every part of his fingers. After 6 months, when sand felt like nothing, he switched to gravel. The sharp edges tore his skin daily. Blood mixed with stones. Most people would have permanent nerve damage. Bruce developed fingertips that could feel a pulse through clothing while being hard enough to shatter wood. The progression continued. After gravel came steel pellets, small ball bearings that rolled away from impact unless you hit perfectly straight. 500 strikes every morning before breakfast. His fingers transformed into something that didn't match any medical textbook. When doctors examined him, they found bone density that was literally off their measurement charts. His tendons had thickened like steel cables. The attachment points where muscles connected to bones had actually restructured themselves to handle forces that would tear normal tissue apart. In 1969, Bruce stood before a crowd holding an inch-thick oak board. No wind-up, no dramatic preparation. He simply placed his fingertips against the wood and drove them through like pushing through paper. The sound wasn't the crack everyone expected, but something closer to tearing fabric. The board split perfectly down the middle. Those watching assumed it was pre-cut or somehow weakened. Then Bruce let volunteers bring their own boards. Same result every time. The nunchaku mastery showed another side of his conditioning. Dan Inosanto brought Bruce the weapon in 1964, 2 sticks connected by a chain. Bruce laughed and called it a toy. The first time he tried to swing them, he cracked himself in the skull hard enough to draw blood. 3 months later, he was playing ping pong with them, never missing a return, discussing philosophy between volleys. But Bruce's most incredible conditioning feat might have been his sandbag training. He had a 300-pound heavy bag that most fighters couldn't even move with their strongest kicks. Bruce would launch it with a side kick, making it swing up parallel to the ground. The chain holding it would go completely slack from the force. Then he'd kick it again on the backswing, sending it flying in the opposite direction. He could keep this rhythm going for minutes, each kick delivered with the force of a car crash. His breathing controlled like he was taking a casual walk. Real fights that proved the legend. Yoichi Nakachi wasn't some strip mall karate teacher. 3rd-degree black belt in both karate and judo, founder of his own fighting system called Shinpu Ren, the kind of fighter who'd survived real violence on Japanese streets, where losing meant the hospital or worse. When he opened his Seattle dojo in 1959, legitimate fighters spoke his name with respect. Then he heard about a 20-year-old Chinese kid claiming Kung Fu was superior to Japanese martial arts. The challenge came through proper channels. Nakachi spent weeks tracking Bruce down, making it clear this wasn't about ego or publicity. This was about respect and tradition. The fight happened at a YMCA handball court with no referee, no rules, just witnesses who promised to keep quiet about what they saw. Nakachi expected to teach a lesson. What happened took 11 seconds and left him unconscious with a fractured skull. Bruce didn't circle or feel out his opponent. He attacked like someone had flipped a switch from calm to violence. The punches came in combinations that shouldn't exist, each one landing before Nakachi could process the previous impact. 20 years of training in 2 martial arts meant nothing. Bruce's foot connected with his skull like a baseball bat, and Nakachi dropped instantly. The witnesses, all experienced fighters themselves, stood in shocked silence. They just watched 2 decades of mastery get erased in less time than it takes to tie your shoes. The 1967 Long Beach footage tells a different story but proves the same point. This wasn't a challenge match or demonstration. Bruce sparred with his own students while someone filmed on 8mm. You can see him marked with white tape for visibility, moving like smoke around desperate attempts to hit him. His students weren't beginners. Several were tournament champions in their own styles. They threw combinations, tried takedowns, and attacked from multiple angles. Nothing worked. Bruce would disappear from where their strikes were aimed and reappear, hitting them from impossible angles. What made these displays terrifying wasn't just the speed or power, it was the control. Bruce could fracture a master's skull or barely tap a student to show an opening. He demonstrated this control constantly, touching opponents exactly where he could have caused damage, then pulling back. During one filmed demonstration, he had a student attack him full force with a knife. Bruce not only disarmed him, but held the blade to the student's throat, then helped him up and explained what went wrong, all in one fluid sequence. The barrier between movie fighting and real combat disappeared with Bruce because there was no barrier. He fought the same way on camera as he did in real life, just slower so audiences could follow. Stuntmen who worked with him reported that he had to consciously hold back to avoid actually hurting them during filming. The Dragon's secret weakness: fighting blind. Bruce Lee couldn't see his own students' faces from across the training room. -5 diopters in both eyes meant anything past arm's length dissolved into colored blurs. When the U.S. Army tested his vision in 1963, they classified him 4F, medically unfit for service. The same eyesight that disqualified him from carrying a rifle somehow didn't stop him from becoming the most feared fighter alive. Most people would have quit martial arts with vision that bad. Bruce rebuilt his entire fighting system around it. He couldn't see punches coming the way normal fighters did, so he learned to read bodies instead of movements. A shoulder drops a quarter inch before a punch launches. Hips rotate milliseconds before a kick fires. Weight shifts from the back foot to the front before any forward attack. Bruce trained himself to see these tells through the blur, identifying threats by shape and motion rather than detail. The limitation forced him to develop something beyond normal perception. While other fighters watched their opponent's eyes for telegraphs, Bruce felt changes in air pressure when limbs moved through space. He could sense the displacement of air from a punch before it reached him. Training partners described sparring with him as fighting someone who had radar. He'd dodge strikes thrown from his blind spots, counterattacks he couldn't possibly have seen coming. Chi Sao, the Wing Chun sensitivity drill where fighters maintain constant arm contact, became his laboratory for developing supernatural awareness. Bruce reached levels where he could fight entire matches through touch alone. Dan Inosanto would blindfold him completely, and Bruce would still control the entire exchange, redirecting force before his opponent even committed to movements. He'd tell students exactly what attack they were about to throw, based solely on tiny muscle tensions he felt through their connected arms. The blindfolded training went beyond drills. Bruce would navigate his home in complete darkness, practicing forms in rooms where he couldn't see walls or furniture. He'd have students randomly attack him while his eyes were covered, learning to fight using only sound and air movement. This wasn't mystical nonsense about sensing energy. It was a practical adaptation to a physical limitation that should have ended his fighting career before it started. Contact lenses in the 1960s were hard plastic torture devices. Bruce wore them during filming despite the constant pain that would have stopped most people. Between takes on Enter the Dragon, he'd disappear to apply numbing drops that barely helped. The famous intensity of his stare came partially from forcing himself to focus through plastic discs scraping his corneas with every blink. He never mentioned this to crews or journalists. They found out years later from his wife, Linda. The nearsightedness became his secret weapon. Opponents assumed someone wearing thick glasses in daily life would be vulnerable in fights. They'd try to exploit what they saw as a weakness, not realizing Bruce had spent 2 decades turning that weakness into his greatest strength. He didn't need to see clearly when he could feel violence coming through a dozen other senses most fighters never developed. The cultural revolution that never ended. Enter the Dragon premiered 4 days after Bruce Lee died, and Hollywood has been trying to recreate him ever since. The movie made 350 times its budget, proved martial arts films could dominate globally, and created a template that action movies still follow 50 years later. But the revolution went deeper than box office numbers. Bruce had kicked down a door that had been locked for decades, and everyone from video game designers to toy makers rushed through. Before Bruce, Asian actors in Hollywood played servants, villains, or comedy relief. They spoke broken English and bowed constantly. Bruce showed up speaking perfect English, refused to play stereotypes, and demanded equal billing with white actors. Studio executives told him it would never work. American audiences wouldn't accept an Asian leading man. He proved them wrong so completely that Hollywood is still apologizing for how long it took to listen. The influence spread through entertainment like wildfire. Street Fighter II launched in 1991 with Fei Long, a character so obviously based on Bruce that Capcom didn't even pretend otherwise. Same hair, same yellow tracksuit, same high-pitched battle cries. Every fighting game since has included at least one Bruce Lee clone. Tekken has martial law, Mortal Kombat has Liu Kang, Dead or Alive has Jan Li. Game developers know that leaving out a Bruce Lee fighter would be like making a racing game without cars. Chuck Norris built his entire career on being the guy who fought Bruce in Way of the Dragon. He'll tell anyone who asks that Bruce was not only the best martial artist he'd ever met, but also the funniest person on set. Bolo Yeung, who played the villain Bruce kills in Enter the Dragon, used Bruce's techniques in Bloodsport and helped train Jean-Claude Van Damme. Scott Adkins, born too late to meet Bruce, still calls Enter the Dragon his favorite movie and models his fight scenes on Bruce's philosophy of practical combat over pretty movements. Quentin Tarantino put Uma Thurman in Bruce's yellow tracksuit for Kill Bill because he knew audiences would understand the reference instantly. No explanation needed. The yellow tracksuit equals Bruce Lee across every culture on Earth. The 1985 movie The Last Dragon named its hero Bruce Leroy, and nobody thought it was strange. Marvel created Shang-Chi in 1973, directly inspired by Bruce, and Stan Lee spent years trying to cast Bruce's son Brandon in a movie version before both men died. The philosophy mattered more than the movies. Before Bruce, martial arts schools taught one style and insisted it was complete. After Bruce, mixed martial arts became inevitable. UFC champions study Bruce's writings about combining different fighting systems. They might not call it Jeet Kune Do, but they're following his blueprint of taking what works and discarding what doesn't. Every MMA gym in America exists because Bruce proved traditional martial arts weren't enough. Don't miss the videos on screen now, they're just as interesting. Catch you in the next one.